Hi there, welcome to Deskside with. My guest today is Steve Kayser, Senior Media Relations Director at Cincom. Steve, how you doing?
Pretty good, Brian. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Busy, and I know you are as well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're working on these days in your capacity at Cincom?
Cincom Systems is one of the pioneering systems software companies in the world. We've got about 50 websites all over the world, 98 different countries. So we're trying to consolidate and join at the hip the sales, marketing, PR function along with customer service. There's only one way you can really do that, and that's with content, sharing good ideas and information and insights. To do that, we had to completely redo our website structure and create new websites. So we spent the last year doing that. We're tying it together this year. And we're launching a lot of new things, including a talk radio show.
We'll get to that talk radio show in just a second because that's pretty interesting in the era of social media. But you were talking about revamping your site and how you bring content to the table. There's one thing I know about you. You're sort of tech savvy. You use WordPress for your online newsroom and other components of the site, do you?
Yes, I use WordPress, and I'll tell you why. I evaluated all of them. I evaluated Drupal, Typepad, WordPress, and probably 5 or 6 others you've never heard of, including one that we built ourselves. WordPress is good for writers. If you can write, if you can use a Word doc, you can update your website. Now, the issues we were having at the time is if you had to publish a news release, it would take 72 hours to get on your website because a coder had to code it. And we had only one coder that could do it. Now we have 12 people in my department. We can update 50 sites in 2 minutes. So everybody has access. Everybody has the ability to update, and they never did that before. So WordPress has really revolutionized what we're doing. And it's just the content management system as a platform. We have to have it. If you're in PR and marketing right now, if you don't have your thumb on the pulse of your website and on the publishing almost daily, then you're probably not doing the best job for your company that you could.
Great. So go check out Cincom.com, and the online newsroom is a few clicks in, I think, to see what he's done with WordPress.
Well, let me explain that too. The issue we were having, we have so many complex products, we decided to roll out the product sites and solution sites first and tie in the corporate site later, because we want people it's not a linear experience ever on a website. We want them to go right to the product or solution site. For example, we have an ERP site called erp.cincom.com or newsroom.cincom.com. Those are sites, if you take a look at, you'll see what we're doing. Acquire.cincom.com. We tie them all into corporate. That won't be till February because it was a much more complex. And when you got 20,000 plus web pages, that's a lot of work.
Certainly. Well, let's get back to the radio thing. Why are you doing radio, and how is it relevant in the era of social media when all we hear about is Twitter?
Actually, it was one of the original social media besides the campfire. Go back to Orson Welles and War of the World. One time we only had radio. It was one of the greatest revolutions in communications ever been seen. The reason we're doing it, though, is Expert Access is an online business magazine we've had for 7 years now. It's been pretty successful. We've got 150,000+ subscribers, readers in 70-some countries.
Wow.
We have 110 authors to contribute, of which 35 are best-selling authors that you would know them if I mentioned them at this time. But the issue was deliverability on email. You just can't depend on email anymore. You have to have multiple channels. Email used to be easy. Email, people used to subscribe. I don't remember the last time I subscribed to email newsletter. So we created a way to have multiple channels to distribute the content, and we came up with the idea several months ago of one of the best ways to do it is get on the radio and talk about it. Share these best stories and share some of these ideas from these authors and these business leaders about what they're doing. The key, though, was to share the ideas, their insights, and inspirational stories in a helping gesture, not plugging the company, not pushing the company. That's what we have advertisement for. But if you share that information and you share ideas and you help people in the business of life or life of business, or help them become aware of new products, new solutions, something to help them do their job better, you're going to get into their realm of trust, and they're going to trust you, and they're going to consider you a trusted resource. And that's what we've always did with Expert Access, but we need to push it a little further. And believe me, live radio pushes a little bit further, especially when you're under the gun yourself doing it.
Where can our audience go to listen to this? Is it available as a podcast as well?
Both. Actually, on Sunday, every Sunday between 4 and 5 Eastern, 55krc.com, the talk station, It's at 4 to 5, and then we put it on our radio site, which we just built, radio.cincom.com or cincom.com/radio. Once we get done with the interview, we archive it as a podcast. It's fairly long, though. It's literally 56, 58 minutes long.
Wow.
So, but we do that with each one, and the beauty of that is you've also got built-in content to reuse. You can transcribe it. You can reuse it in segments because it's pretty in-depth interviews. A lot of good insights, and literally probably be 3, 4, 5,000 words in a minimum of each transcription.
Wow, a lot of good content. So let's get to something I love about your personality, which is the service and the giving side. So the radio program that we just talked about, I heard your radio teaser. We'll get to that in just a second for that. What have you learned? This is the service component probably of this interview. What have you learned from doing quick, short, even informative, entertaining, funny radio sound bites that can our listeners who are in advertising, marketing, PR, communications can apply to their own day-to-day writing and marketing approaches?
Well, this is what I've learned. Live is difficult. It's much more difficult to record it. And try to write off the top of your head, write a 30-second commercial. It's a lot less time than you think it is. You need to have a lot less words, and they got to be powerful, and they have to be quick, they have to be concise. In my opinion, they have to grab you first, and then at the end, you wrap it up with what you're really trying to say. They have to grab you. Every good copywriter probably knows that, but when you actually have to do it yourself and then hear yourself, since I have a face for radio and a voice for print, it can be challenging. One of my funniest stories is with the producer of the show. I said, "Look, here's what you're dealing with, pal. No experience, no creativity, a voice for print." I want to set the stage of where we're at right now. And he laughed really hard. He says, "Man," he says, you're not like any of the other guys I got there. He said, "I don't like you." So we started off from ground zero, actually a little bit below zero. And he's been a wonderful help. And 30 seconds, try to pull off one or two drafts of that. Try to get it done on the second copy or the second take. We got it down to that. But I'm not saying it's great, but I'm saying we're learning. And the problem with it is, you have the leader of the PR department actually doing the advertising for product groups because we've never advertised. Our company has never advertised since the early 90s. And this is we're using Al Reese's system of PR gets people to you, PR builds your brand, advertising reinforces it. So we're reinforcing who we are, what we do. And in this particular thing, we're actually saying, look, we've got a new show out here. Come visit us. And we're dealing with some heavyweights in this town. And WLW, Clear Channel, those are heavyweights. You know?
Absolutely. For fun, I'd love to hear that radio soundbite if we can get that to work.
Let's give it a whirl. You suffer from business-related anxiety syndrome as an employee, an executive or owner. It's too much tear-diddle, twiddle-twaddle, flim-flam, flummery, corporate gobbledygook, fast-talking business speak, making you want to scream and shout, but turn your back and say help!
Then join us on the new Expert Access Radio Hour, featuring business leaders and best-selling authors from around the world. They'll share ideas, insights, and inspirational stories. Expert Access Radio, sponsored by Cincom Systems, is a public service to present the latest, best business ideas to help companies grow and to stimulate our economy. Visit us at cincom.com.
You suffer. That's it, man.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. I wonder where you got the helium for that.
Oh, man, you should do a second one, the ERP ad, where we did the resolution. Oh, it's like twice as quick. I ran out of gas twice. had it sucked up the lungs, man. It worked out well, though. Going back to the slower speech now as we go into some of these guests are more serious. So, but that was just a teaser to try to get people to come, and we just want to make it powerful and energetic.
Steve, you mentioned Pressfield and screenwriting. I know that you're a screenwriter. You're a writer of all sorts, a business writer, widely published as well, but a screenwriter as well. You're sort of a renaissance man in this industry. Can you talk about the lessons that you have learned from screenwriting as a tough road to hoe, that you've learned in screenwriting that might apply to PR writing?
Oh, there's almost everything you can ever do in screenwriting applies to PR writing or storytelling or business corporate writing. I consider myself a white space writer, and I am a white space reader. The more white space I see on the page, the better I think it's written. The clearer, the more concise, the short words, the short sentences. The way you have to write for a screenplay is exactly how you should communicate a lot of times in corporate communications. Now, I'm not talking about data spec sheets, technical spec sheets. You have to use the language of your audience. But I'm talking about if you want to grab somebody, get to your site, to understand what your business is, you need to be able to grab their emotions. You need to make them think, yeah, okay, that's pretty powerful. And then delve into the reason and guide them along a path of common sense to come to the conclusion, yeah, I want to do business with these people. They can solve a problem that we're having, something like that. But the screenwriting, to me, is the best form of writing. If I see a paragraph that has a 92-word sentence, or I see a paragraph that has 10 lines in it, I basically delete that immediately. I've actually came up with a 1-10-1 rule for communications. You have 1 second to grab somebody's attention, to earn 10 seconds of their time. And if in that 10 seconds you've earned their respect and their trust, and it's a very short time, right, then they might give you 1 minute, and then you go from there. But think about yourself when you answer your email. You're basically, your eyes are cruising. And 1 second seems like a short time, but it's not.
Great.
So you got to grab them, and it's got to be unique. It serves some kind of purpose and to draw them into you. And I'm a big believer. If I had somebody that could actually write and told me that they had written several screenplays, even though they hadn't sold them, they're hard to sell, then I would think that they know what I was looking for in writing. The Hemingway's rules of writing still fit from 1918. Small words, short sentences, shorter paragraphs, imperative verbs, he called them vigorous verbs, and a positive mindset. Always be positive.
Great. Okay, well, I think we covered a lot there. Thank you, Steve, for your time, for your insight, for your tips. We appreciate it. We'll drive people to your site, and thank you for being there. We'll come back to you again.
Thank you, Brian, and tell everybody there I said hi, and I got high hopes for you guys. You got a great new site up there. It looks like you're going to have great business.
Great. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too. See you.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.